Hey guys, we are live again today. Um, it is just me this time. Um, Christian is on business travel. So it's just going to be me today. Hopefully, he will pop in on the chat and he will chat with us about these movies there. But most of these movies I watched on my own anyway or with one of my kids. So um, he may have watched some of them though, so it should be good. All right, so the first two movies I'm gonna review were stuff my girls wanted to watch. So these are the only two that I'm gonna review that don't really fit the theme. They weren't really school related. So our theme for this month is back to school. So any movie that has to do with back to school is what we were going to be reviewing this week. So, um, this one, these kids are school age, but it wasn't really with school related, I guess. So, um, yeah. But anyway, Ivy and Bean was the name of this movie, and then the second one was The Ghost That Had to Go, Ivy and Bean. So it was a cute kids show. It's basically about this little girl who kind of is a little bit of a troublemaker. She um has a big imagination and looks for lots of things to do. Oh, hey, what's up? And she gets to know this girl next door that uh, she thought was kind of a little to herself and girly. And so she didn't think she would get along with her too well. But she ended up meeting her outside and ends up really liking her. And they end up having a good time hanging out together and going on their little adventures together and causing trouble together. So, um, their names were Ivy and Bean, of course. So it just kind of the movies were about their adventures and the trouble that they do, and um, they're cute little fun-loving show. They're from 2022. There's three of them total. Um, they're pretty cute. Would I watch them again? Probably not. So that's going to affect the rating of them. I would probably give them a 5 out of 10. Um, yeah, so they were okay. If you have little girls, they would probably like it. They would think that it's cute. So it may be something to give a watch to for your kids. So that's Ivy and Bean from 2022. Okay, um, the next movie is called Split from 2016. This one my son wanted to watch a movie. He likes kind of psychological thriller type movies. So we were on the search for one. This one sounded interesting. So we decided to give it a try. We found out it's actually a sequel to another movie. So we watched them out of order, but we're going to go back and watch the other one later. But for now, we watched this one called Split from 2016. Uh, it didn't really have any big names in it that I recognized. Um, Brad Hankey was in it. I guess that's a big name. M. Night Shyamalan. It's one of his movies. You would see Split sometime. Yeah, it was pretty entertaining. It kept our attention. We enjoyed it. It was basically about this guy who has multiple personalities, and his personalities were out of control, and he abducts these three girls when they got out of school. There's the school connection. So he abducted these three girls. They were supposed to be riding home with one of the girls' dad, and he got rid of the dad. You just assume he shoved him in the trunk because you don't see him after he put something in the trunk. And then the dad's disappeared. So um, he ends up uh, drugging the girls, taking them to this place. They didn't know where they were. And he was basically just playing games with them this whole time. His different personalities had different things that would interact with the girls for. So I don't know, it was very interesting because you never knew whenever he walked into the room where he was keeping the girls what was going to happen because you weren't sure which personality was going to come out. And apparently there was 24, and the 24th personality is kind of a beast mode. So a little bit of a crazy personality. So you kind of watch these girls and the fear that they're in and their attempts to try to get out. And when watching this movie, I'm thinking, man, there's so many times that they could have done something to get into a circumstance, or the three of them probably could have taken the guy. He was not that big of a guy. He did not seem like he was all that tough. And when he was in his personalities that were kind of a weaker personality, they so could have taken him. So I'm really not sure why they didn't. If you didn't know it, it was an M. Night movie. Would you think it was one? At first, well, so M. Night shows up in the movie really early, so it kind of gives that away. I didn't When we picked the movie, we didn't realize it was an M. Night movie. Um, so I guess so, because he's into the psychological kind of stuff. So he puts out a lot of psychological movies. So I could see it being one of his movies. And we've been kind of disappointed in his movies lately. So it was kind of a good one. It was kind of good to see this one and see that it was one of his movies, and see him in it right at the beginning. So that was kind of fun. Um, I thought overall it was good. I think the girls were lacking in their knowledge on how to get out of a bad situation. I mean, so many times they could have left the situation. My son and I were watching it, and many times we thought, man, right there they could have left. Right there they could have walked right past him. Right there they could have knocked him out because they had the tools to do it and didn't. And they kind of were just the one girl was kind of feeding into his mental wherever he was and having conversation with him and trying to, and I see what she was doing. She was trying to connect with him, see what was going on with him to kind of change what was going on. But dude, I'd have knocked the guy out. I'd have just clean knocked him out and left. Um, but yeah, so in that sense, it was kind of a little because there were so many opportunities that they could have done so much different. He definitely has a unique style. Lots have been so with his recent films. Yeah, I agree. But I thought this one was good. It was entertaining, other than the girls being weak. I thought it was fairly good. I would probably give this one, I don't know, there could have been improvements. It could have been a little better. I probably would give it a 7 out of 10. So it was entertaining. It kept our attention. We wanted to see what was happening, and we want to watch the other one. So I would say a 7 out of 10 is a decent rating for this. So that was Split from 2016. And the one that we need to go back and watch is called Glass. Um, that one is from 2019. So we're going to go backwards in um, these movies and watch the first one second, which I think will give us some background on this one. So maybe I would boost the rating after watching that one. I don't know. We'll see. We'll let you know when I watch the other one what I would think of it. 2016. That was a while. Yeah, that was a while ago. So we'll see. We'll see what the quality of that one is. All right. Let me see what's the next movie here. Um, the next one I was really excited about watching. It looked really interesting. It's called The School for Good and Evil from 2023. To me, from the previews, it kind of gave me a Once Upon a Time vibe. And then as I was watching the movie, it continued to give me that vibe. So I really liked it. It was basically fairy tale, um, princesses and villains, but it's their kids. Not like The Descendants, though. So if you've seen The Descendants, that's similar. That's the villains' kids and the fairy tale kids. Um, this is similar to that, but not Descendants style movie. Different than that. This one was pretty good. It had two girls that were friends, and they were from this nothing town in the middle of nowhere, and they wanted something different for themselves. So the one girl, she made a wish, wished upon something, and that she would be taken to the school for good. And her wish ended up coming true, but her friend wouldn't let her go alone. So they were both picked up by this skeleton bird thing, and they were whisked away to the school. Well, little did they know they were going to get dropped off at opposite schools. So the friend would have thought herself more of a villain, where the first girl thought herself a princess, but they were dropped off at opposite schools. So the girl who thought herself a villain, everybody thought she was a witch, she got dropped off at the school for good. The other girl got dropped off at the school for evil. And so you see them kind of, I'm don't belong here. This is not for me. The one girl, I'm not a princess. I'm not like this. This is not my style. And so you first see the girls kind of unsure and thinking, well, this went all wrong. We didn't end up in the right schools. They're trying to get to each other and correct the situation. But then they find as they go through that they really were where they belonged, or at least one of the girls. Um, in the end, they end up leaving the fairy tale schools, and they end up going back home because they realize that Tilly, that what they were leaving behind was really not so bad. Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. You always think the grass is greener on the other side, and then you get there and you think, well, maybe it wasn't so bad back where I came from. So maybe I didn't want to wish for something different. So it was kind of that kind of thing. They realized what they had left behind, and that their situations really weren't so bad to begin with. So I thought it was good. I don't know, IMDb kind of has a low rating for it, but I think it deserved a higher rating. I thought it was good. I thought it was very entertaining. It kept my attention. Like I said, it was like Once Upon a Time vibes, which I really enjoyed watching that. So this was one I enjoyed. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was good. There were some parts that were kind of, oh, I don't know, that probably wasn't necessary. But Tilly, get out of here! Dog causing trouble. Sorry. But overall, it was good. So probably an 8 out of 10 would be what I would rate it. Was it made for kids, adults, or family? So I would say it was made for all ages. I think it was PG-13, but I don't remember any bad parts in it or anything. There was a little bit of blood, I guess. So that's probably what gave it the PG-13 rating. But I would say I could watch it with my girls. I would say that it would be okay for that. I don't remember any language standing out to me, and I thought it was good overall. So I would say decent for family. If you have really, really little girls, maybe they wouldn't get it, but blood, 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 and death. Yeah, a little bit. There wasn't a lot, but what there was, I guess it was a bit. Yeah, I could see that why it would be PG-13, I guess, from that. So there is blood. So if you have kids that are fearful of blood or that would be grossed out by it, then maybe you wouldn't want them to watch it. But otherwise, pretty good. So that was A School for Good and Evil from 2023. All right. The next ones, pretty much all the rest that I watched were classics, or in my opinion, classics, older movies. I was just in the mood for some older movies. So that's what I went with. Uh, so the next one was A School of Rock from 2003. So this has Jack Black, which Jack Black's hilarious to me anyway. I think he's pretty funny. In this movie, he's the same. So he's basically um, a washed out rock player, band guitar player, and really doesn't have a future. Really not making it in the band world so much. He poses as his friend, as a substitute teacher. He ends up teaching the kids rock and roll instead of actual subjects that they were supposed to be learning. So he kind of flipped the script, so to say, for the kids, and they ended up loving it. They ended up forming this band and really sounding pretty good and enjoying themselves. And had some adventures here and there. And then ended up by the end of the movie, they made it an after school program instead of a during school program. Um, so yeah, they turned it into something that could last long term, which I think is cool because I think music is an important part of schooling, and I think schools that have gotten rid of music programs are giving their kids a disadvantage. So I think music and the arts are important to be taught in school. Um, so anyway, I would probably give School of Rock an 8. It's a fun loving movie. It's entertaining. I've watched it several times and enjoy it every time I watch it. Um, it's fun how he interacts with the kids and uh, figures out what he needs to be doing. That he really makes a pretty decent band teacher rather than band member. So, um, kind of a fun movie. They revived the music program and Here Comes the Boom. Also, yeah, they did. That's a fun movie. Also, I think we reviewed that one not too long ago. I want to say, at least I think we did. Um, okay, the next one is even older. I went farther back in time. The Breakfast Club from 1985. So, this is definitely a classic in my opinion. 80s movies are just awesome. I love 80s movies. I've always loved 80s movies. Um, so this one was basically about a group of teenagers who get detention. They have to go to detention on a Saturday, and they okay, the thing I don't understand is they're sent to detention. The principal is there, but he's in his office and leaves them completely unattended and doesn't expect them to get into trouble. Why would you leave a group of troublemaking teenagers alone in the school and tell them, be good? They're there because they weren't good, because they misbehaved. So, why do you think that they're going to behave for you when they're unattended and all put together in the same room? It's just, and he seems surprised when they cause trouble and he has to go after them. But anyway, these kids interact, and they weren't a group of kids that would normally socially interact together during school. So they actually got to know each other a little bit and relate to each other, so to say. They pretty much admitted that they would not probably talk to each other at school anymore, but um, that they were glad they got to know each other. Some little romantic flare ups kind of happened during the movie. A couple of the girls and boys ended up falling for each other a little bit. It doesn't really say if they stay together or if it's just kind of a that day kind of fling thing. I don't know. It doesn't really say. I guess you leave that to your imagination to decide if they stay together or not. Each represented a clique at school. Well, that's true. I guess that's true. Except for the one girl who was there, even though she wasn't sent there, she just showed up because she was bored. That's the part I thought was funny. And she was the one that was kind of the most awkward in the beginning, and she ended up the most girly girl towards the end. The theme song from St. Elmo's Fire was great. So St. Elmo's Fire is great. That's a really good movie. That's another one of my favorite 80s movies. But that's for another theme. And we'll talk about that another time. But this one, Breakfast Club, definitely good. There is a lot of language, so it definitely deserves the R rating. I forgot how much language was in this movie. So that was kind of a cringe moment for me. There was just so much. And I I get it that teenagers cuss, but man, these it was a lot. And it's just, can't you think of other words that make you sound smarter rather than make you sound unintelligent? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But um I'd say that was the only negative in the movie was all the language, but I like the interactions between the teens. I like how they were able to find a way to relate to each other even though they were all so different. throughout their high school. Um, I would probably give that one a 7 out of 10, even though it's watchable over and over. The language kind of kills it for me. I don't know. I just don't think the language is necessary in these movies. Um, but anyway, that was Breakfast Club from 1985. Did they stick something to the ceiling? There was something with the ceiling. Well, the one kid climbed through the ceiling. He crawled through the ceiling and went through the ducts and ended up falling down and then ended up getting a giant bag of weed out of a locker, and then they all were smoking it. I don't remember something stuck. Maybe so. I don't know. I don't remember specifically. I'd have to go back and I'll have to watch it again. Must have been it. Might have been this one. It might have been. I can't remember. I'll have to go back and watch again and look for that. So many different elements to this movie that I very well could have missed that one. But all right, so then the next movie, I got a lot of movies, y'all. So hopefully you can stick with me on this. I didn't have the kids this weekend, so I had time to kind of work on stuff I needed to work on and watch a bunch of movies. So that's what I did. Um, the next movie is Aquila and the Bee from 2006. I remember seeing this one. I'm not sure if I saw it all the way through, and it was a long time ago, but I really liked it. I thought it was really good. It was about this little girl who um, went to a school that wasn't known to have very intelligent kids, or it wasn't seen as being a great school. Um, and she was super intelligent and really, really good at spelling because she had this unique way of she would tap her leg in a certain way and be able to spell all of these words, and she just remembered everything that she would hear and learn about. She ended up learning all of these words, and ended up having this one guy who used to win spelling bees back in his day coaching her for a little while, and she kind of learned a backstory about him that um, made her respect him a little bit more. Um, and then she realized that she was really learning all along from her whole community that they were all on her side and trying to help her out and um, help her be a success. And so she saw that even though it looked like her circumstances were not great, everybody around her cared about her and wanted her to do really well. And she ends up being a spelling bee, the national, I think it was national champion at the end. She and another boy who had been the champion before, they both tied for the win for the national championship. So it was really a good movie. Um, just kind of teaches that you got to work hard for something if you want it, and that let people around you help you be successful. Most people want you to be successful. They don't want to see you fail. So you just have to open up your mind and open up your heart to those around you. So really kind of a good lesson in it. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really good. It was really good to watch. I enjoyed it a lot. So that was Aquila and the Bee from 2006. The next one is High School Musical, also from 2006. So this one is a Disney movie. So of course it's a cheesy Disney musical. The jump rope was a good idea, if I remember right, or maybe it was just the tap. Yes. So the jump rope was what the guy who was coaching her. That's what his it was his daughter's jump rope, and his daughter had died, and so that was the secret that she found out about him. And so he was kind of training her in memory of his daughter. So that was really kind of cute, and the jump rope really helped her to get a couple of the words that were really tough for her. Watched it on a plane years ago. Yeah, I mean it's a good one. It's a really good movie. All right, back to High School Musical. So, like I said, it's a cheesy Disney musical. If you like cheesy Disney musicals, this one is for you. Um, it has Zac Efron and what's her name? Uh, Vanessa Hudgens. So they're the main two characters, and they meet, they sing, they try out for a drama together. They make it as the leads. This whole time they're singing about it. So that's the basic gist of the movie. A lot of drama, a lot of teen romance going on in there. A lot of energy, a lot of singing and dancing and fun. So if you're looking for Amanda Hudgens, no, Vanessa Hudgens. Um, so if you're looking for a high-spirited, fun-loving song and dance movie, this one might be right up your alley. Rating it, I don't know, it's a tough one. It's fun to watch if I'm trying to watch something that I don't really have to pay attention to, and I'm in the mood for a musical. This would be my go-to. Um, it's what? If you're looking for Amanda Hug and Kiss. What are you talking about? Anyway, so I would probably rate it, I don't know, a 7 out of 10. It's good. It's cheesy. So if you're in the mood for a musical, go for it. You probably will like it. um, the next one. Nope, you're staying here because you're causing trouble. The dog's causing trouble. The next one is Matilda from 1996. So I watched this one earlier in the week. The girls were home with me. They were picking silly little shows. And so I decided to throw on a movie. And I thought, Matilda's a school movie. So we'll throw that one on. This is the one from 1996. I know there's many, many versions of Matilda out there. I don't like all of them, but this one I like. It's got the girl that's in Miss Doubtfire. The little girl, she is Matilda in this one. It's got Danny DeVito. What's the girl's name? Let me see here. Mara Wilson. So it's got little Mara Wilson and it's got Danny DeVito. And Danny DeVito is her dad, and he and the wife are, dumb. And they don't expect anything out of their kids. They didn't want Matilda to go to school or anything, but she was super smart. She kind of just taught herself everything. She went to the library and spent every day, all day in the library, just reading book after book after book. Oh, probably the better version of the. Yes, this one is. I would say this is the best version of Matilda that I've seen. I enjoy this one the most. The other ones, I don't know. They didn't do it for me. But this one I like. I like the little girl, I guess. I like her as an actress. I think she's a really good actress as a child. And Danny DeVito is always funny. um, but so Matilda they end up sending her to the school because the dad gets sick of hearing her and she's causing all this trouble because he had said something. I forget what the phrase was that he said. And she took it as, well, anybody can be punished if they do something wrong. Well, she knew her dad was a thief and he was a liar. And so in her mind, that was wrong. So she felt like she could punish her dad. So she was playing all these pranks on her dad and doing all these things. And he finally got fed up with it and sent her away to this boarding school. Well, the school was run by this terrible woman who's just mean to the kids. She's just awful. Well, in the end, with Matilda's help, the kids end up kicking her on out of there. Matilda ends up really close with the one good teacher that was at that school who ended up taking over and becoming the principal of the school and ends up adopting Matilda. So it was a cute movie, cute ending. It's from a book um, that I have read in the past. And of course, the book is always better than the movie. But this version of the movie, I would say, is the best version that has been put out and probably the closest to the book that I've seen. So if you're interested in a book to movie, fun loving, kid friendly movie, Matilda is probably the way to go. I would probably give it an 8 out of 10 for a kid's back to school movie. 8 out of 10. Matilda from 1996. Okay. And then the very last one that I just watched today, finished just before this, is Bring It On from 2000. This is a cheesy cheerleader movie. They made several of them, but I only watched the first one because I don't think any of the sequels are any good on this one. I didn't like them, but this has Kirsten Dunst. Um, and this one's not a very clean movie. I would not watch this movie with kids. I believe it's PG-13. Yeah, PG-13. Um, there's a lot of, well, not a lot, a little bit of language, but a lot of sexual uh, innuendos, I guess, or cheesy but entertaining because of the aerobatics. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of flips and turns and gymnasticsy sort of cheerleading-y stuff. Which I was a cheerleader in high school and college, so I like cheerleading movies and I like that kind of stuff. But this one's probably more on the cheesy side. Um, it basically shows this cheer squad who cheated for years and stole cheers from another school. This school comes back and says, "Hey, stop cheating from us." So the Kirsten Dunst character ends up the new cheer captain and hires this guy to come in and teach them. Well, he had taught six other schools this exact same dance. So when they go to competition, six schools do the same dance, and it's stupid, cheesy, spirit fingers junk kind of dance. So really dumb dance. Um, and they almost get disqualified because of it. But the competition ends up giving them another chance. Hey, guest, thanks for joining in. Um, you'll have to go back and watch the movies we missed. Right now, we're talking about Bring It On from 2000. But anyway, so Kirsten Dunst's character ends up um, coming up with their own cheers. So they end up doing what you should be doing and creating your own content, right? So she and the rest of the cheer squad kind of study other versions of dance. They study other interpretive movement, things like that, and kind of um, get a unique routine out of that. So they throw in a bunch of their flips and turns and lifts and things like that. That's typical for cheerleading, but then they use some different movements that you wouldn't think would go into a cheerleading routine, like a little martial arts and some miming and some other things. So they really pull it off in the end and do a pretty good job. I think it showcases a level of cheerleading that you typically wouldn't see during a halftime show of a high school game. That's true. Yeah, so they geared it up a bit from, just a game performance to be a competition level type thing. So at the end, yeah, with their last performance, they did a pretty phenomenal job and pulled it off in a short amount of time because I think they only had a few weeks to completely come up with a whole new routine, um, in order to be in the competition. So they pulled it off and they did it. So it's a good movie. It was fun to watch. I like watching all the cheerleading stuff, all the stunting, all the flips and turns, and um, kind of reminds me of the good old days, back when I was on cheer teams. Um, so let's see. I would probably give it. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 overall. Maybe it produced more cheerleaders like Maverick produced more Navy pilots. I don't know about that. Maybe. I think Maverick probably made more of an impression than Bring It On did. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, fun movie if you like watching cheerleading movies with a lot of drama and with high schoolers. So that's Bring It On from 2000. All right, so that was the lineup. If you missed it, Ivy and Bean, Split, The School for Good and Evil, School of Rock, The Breakfast Club, Aquila and the Bee, High School Musical, Matilda, and Bring It On. So I'd say that's a decent mix there, all the way from kid friendly up to psychological thriller. So take your pick, whatever those movies. Um, Bring It On 22. This time it's personal. Is that the is that one of the other movies? Is that what you're talking about? One of their many, many, many sequels that they made from the original Bring It On? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Yeah, there was a lot of movies. They've probably made 5 or so of the sequels of this. They just kept going with it. I don't know why. I wish some of these screenwriters would come up with original content rather than trying to redo the same stuff. I don't know. I've said that before. It's just kind of annoying. I wish they would come up with something new. Movies sometimes need to just be left. They don't need a sequel. The sequel sometimes ruins it for the original even. So, I don't know. That's just my opinion. Let me know your opinion in the comments. Do you think that many, many sequels are needed for a movie? There are some movies, I guess, that the sequels added to the story and were good, like Pirates of the Caribbean. I'd say those sequels kind of added a little more onto the stories. Um, but most of the time, the sequels don't do it for me. I just like the original movie and moving on to the next thing. So let me know in the comments what you think. Also, let me know if there's any other school themed movies that you would like us to watch and review. Christian will be back with me next week in person, not just in the chat. So he will be here entertaining you with his antics next week. So tune in for that. I don't know that we will have a Tuesday movie that he's out of town until Tuesday evening, so it probably won't come out on Tuesday. He's my dude for doing the Tuesday movie reviews. So it may come later in the week, or we might just skip this week for movie reviews, or it may come Friday. I don't know. He might just put it out on Friday instead of the Friday fave. So we'll see what he ends up doing. I already know what movie it's going to be. I'm not going to tell you though. You're going to have to tune in when we do end up posting it, but be on the lookout for that sometime this week. And it's a new one that we actually both watched together before he went out of town. So um, we'll do that review for you whenever he has a chance, whenever he's back in town. So, anyway, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for commenting and jumping on. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and tell your friends. Have them jump on. We love to chat with you. So jump in on the chat and tune in every Sunday at 9:30 for our movie reviews. Remember, this month is back to school themed movies. So we would love to hear your ideas. Pop them in the comments. Thanks. See ya.